Thank you very much. It's great to be here on this slot that is normally referred to as the graveyard slot, just after lunch, but I can feel lots of energy in the room today, so we're going to try and go through that. It's been lots of really good conversations with people this morning around the table, and I think lots of very different organisations here today. What Nick and I are going to be talking about today is our experience of helping planning, attracting, selecting and onboarding people in what has been a massive volume recruitment campaign that Yodel go through every year. And so what we wanted to do was share from Yodel's perspective what it was and some of the steps that we go through to help as well. The purpose very much is to talk to you about what we've learned, what experiences we can take from it, and how really to approach it. I'm not sure whether there will be many of you with exactly the same situation, but certainly some of the techniques and some of the things that we considered when developing this campaign last year, I'm sure will be useful and things that you can discuss through the round tables. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Nick.
Thank you. Hi everyone. So my name's Nicola Ferraby. I'm the Director of People Services at Yodel. Been with Yodel now for coming up to 3 years, and it does feel like a lifetime. The reason being is that we've done so much in 3 years. So for those of you who don't know who Yodel are, we're a parcel delivery company. We basically manage about 155 million parcels through our network each year. When it comes to peak, we do around 1 million parcels a day. We have over 5,000 vans in our fleet, 1,500 trailers, 900 LGV vehicles, and sometimes when it comes to peak, we can go up to a workforce of 16,000 people. We have 3 national sort hubs, one in Wednesbury, one in Hatfield, and one in Shaw, and we have over 60 sites across the United Kingdom. We also have 260 tractor units. We just invested in a brand new Mercedes fleet. So when you see us on the motorway or see us in the roads near to you, you'll notice we've got a brand new fleet as well. So, locations across the country. As you can see, we go as far as up to Inverness and right the way down to Truro and across to Northern Ireland. We have a kind of split head office, so half of it is in Hatfield, down in London, and the other half of it is in Liverpool, where we have the majority of our support functions. And as you can imagine, having such a great diversity from right the way down there in Truro, right the way up to Inverness and across to Carrickfergus, we have got quite a breadth of recruitment to do, because none of those sites recruit the same way. The demographics, the labour market and everything else in those sites is a bit of a challenge for us. So something we introduced last year, which is pretty key to our recruitment, are our behaviours. So we got a working group together of our people, of our drivers, self-employed, employed, our support function guys, got them in a room and said, right, we need to have something we're working to with regards to how people value Yodel. So we basically introduced these 4 behaviours. So link together, think differently, move to the beat and deliver with oomph. Our strapline is, take delivery personally. And we try and instill that in all the colleagues when they join. And it's really, really important to have this kind of stuff, because we use it in our interview processes, we use it in our selection material, we use it in our onboarding. And when colleagues start with us around the business, we make sure that we use it in their performance reviews. So the whole kind of message around behaviours cascades through to everyone. So that's kind of the how. The what is, they're actually called the 4 whats. I don't know who came up, I think it was marketing came up with that snappy title. So this is how we deliver parcels out in the network. So on time, condition, attitude informed. When everybody starts again as part of their induction, our interview material is around these 4 whats. So on time is to deliver our customers' parcels on time. Condition, deliver our customers' parcels in great condition. with a great attitude, so always show customers a great attitude. And interestingly, on the attitude bit, since we introduced the 4 Whats 2 years ago, our CSAT and NPS scores have also gone up. It's with the attitude one and the customer service that we've managed to get some great clients, such as Marks and Spencer, such as John Lewis. Informed, we keep our customers informed about their deliveries. So if you use the behaviours and use the 4 Whats, basically what you've got there is a lovely framework from when we come to, bring good people in. So I'm going to show you a bit of a video now on what the parcel journey looks like for Yodel. So if you look at these 2 rows here, the first row, this one is our self-employed. These are all contractors. So these are people with limited company, and they either have drivers that drive on their behalf or they own the companies as well. So we have self-employed drivers that basically drive a car. Then we've got self-employed couriers, owner drivers who have a small van, owner drivers who have a big van, and then the service partners that basically would have people working underneath them. Then we have our employed tranche here. So we've got employed drivers, employed couriers, van drivers, and HGV drivers. And something that, these propositions all have the benefits behind them, the adverts behind them. The most interesting one that we've just started is the Parcel Driver Training Programme, which is a brand new scheme for us. And this one was about, actually, if no one's ever delivered a parcel before and say, I don't know, they're a taxi driver now or a bus driver and they want to change their career, how we could support them. So this is a brand new 12-week training programme that we're currently running, which is quite a new proposition for us. So, the other roles that basically support our drivers, we've got customer service, operations management, head office, and also warehouse roles. But again, we're really proud that we've just been awarded our Silver Covenant with the ex-military. And we currently have 196 colleagues from the ex-military roles, from Army, Navy, who have basically been redeployed into Yodel and currently work for us, predominantly in the driver roles, but they also have been recruited into some of these support function roles as well. So, Peak then, the story about Peak. Since I've been working with Toby really over the last 2 years, and SMRS for 3 years, some of the key planning and the key dates for Peak is so important to basically get it in the diary as soon as possible. And I don't think you can plan early enough. So having those dates in the diary, making sure that you have quite a few prep meetings before, you know what you're recruiting to, you know what your numbers are, you know what your volume is, it's absolutely key. Over Peak for Yodel, we have a 33% increase in our workforce. And we have a 150% increase in the deliveries. And with that comes quite a few challenges. So, what's our situation then when it comes to Peak? Well, we're quite reactive to changing parcel volumes. So 1 week you could have a retailer having a promotion on offer, and then basically all the customers want their parcels delivered at home. The next week there could be nothing, or it could be Black Friday. So you have to have a workforce that is adaptable and flexible to meet the needs and the demands of the volume. We've got the increasing number of driver propositions. So you've seen there, we've got the new parcel trainee delivery driver. What we're trying to do all the time is have a look at the changing market needs and adapt our propositions to basically support our clients and the market. We're constantly refining the recruitment process. I mean, we have to change constantly. We're starting our peak meetings next month, aren't we? And again, we'll be looking at what we've done brilliantly last year, what we did brilliantly the year before, but then we'll be looking at what's changed in the market since then and how do we need to adapt further. All our recruitment is now in-house. That almost killed me last year. So we brought in iGrass. We have a brand new ATS. That was the bit that didn't kill me, by the way. The bit that almost killed me was just getting everything under one roof and making sure that all the sites that we've got were actually doing the same thing and were consistent. Our hotspot locations then, we have, like I said before when we looked at the map, I have sites in Warrington, which you think, oh, it'd be really easy to recruit in Warrington. It's really difficult because we've got Travis Perkins have just opened up a massive big warehouse. Hermes have got one just down the road. Within the last 18 months, 5 massive warehouses have opened up. And then suddenly your talent in the local areas diminished because everyone is then competing against, you know, well, they're paying £8.90 an hour and we're only paying £8.60. So where are they going to go? So how do you get them to stay? And that's the problem, the high attrition. Yeah? So when you've got competitors like this on your doorstep and they're all tapping away, you've got to have a really good proposition for these colleagues to come into. And this is where SMLRS have been absolutely instrumental in supporting Yodel through the peak process. So candidates basically will go onto our website, but the candidate application journey, you know, you've got candidates who are kind of applying for multiple roles in Warrington, so they see a vacancy in Warrington and suddenly they're applying for the sorter, the loader, the driver, they're applying for anything. And then they come in and then they don't show up for the interview because they've already been offered by Hermes down the road because they got in 24 hours before us. We have an element of reducing loyalty, where, you know, we're just competing for talent with our competitors constantly. So, over to you.
So, thanks, Nick. And I'm sure from that you can see what a complex business Yodel is and some of the real requirements to change and to flex. And a lot of change within the organisation as well to help support the team as well. So when we sat down, and it was almost exactly a year ago to plan this peak, we said, right, what we're going to need to look at is 3,500 hires across all of those different driver propositions, and we're not quite sure what those driver propositions are going to be in which individual location. And we're still not quite sure which location is really going to be the ones that are going to be troublesome this year, because so much has changed in the market from a labour supply perspective and from a competitive perspective. But also with the changes that have gone on within the business, with the move to everything in-house as well, we wanted to be very clear that we were getting the right type of numbers through so that we were getting the application to hire ratio right. And actually what we were talking about was reducing the number of total applications, but making sure they were focused within the right week at the right location. So it became quite a challenge. So how did we go about that? Well, I think the most important thing was really trying to get down and understand our target audience. And this doesn't matter what type of business you are. Understanding your candidate is crucial in helping understand how we can go about targeting them. So how did we do it? Well, there were a lot of meetings. There were a lot of meetings with the resourcing team. There were a lot of meetings with the business. There were a lot of meetings as well with operators as well, so we could understand who they were and what the demands were. By understanding the audience profile, we were able to build a picture for each of the driver propositions of what motivated those individuals. We then did some data mapping as well to understand where the hotspots were likely to be, where we were likely to find the individuals that we required. So we're building much greater picture of what they are. And also we were looking at competitor research. Competitor research about where they are, but also competitor research about what they were saying and what the application journey looked like as well, because it's such a competitive market. So once we'd looked at that and we'd understood in detail the audience, it was down really then drilling down into the detail of how to work out what an attraction strategy was. It was incredibly complex. It was looking at the hotspots. It was then going down and looking at the key intake dates as well, because we needed to make sure that at times when we were going to be driving really high volumes of applications, that Nick and her team had the resources ready to be able to handle that. And there were real peaks and troughs in that, because the worst thing that would have happened is that if we were driving too many numbers at the same time, number one, the resourcing team couldn't handle it, and number two, the business wasn't ready to take them in, because there you were going to lose a lot of candidates through that pipeline. So there was a real challenge about doing that as well. And once we'd got that, it was about understanding where we needed to go, how we could get the right message to the right people at the right time. And with the sort of numbers that we were looking at, making sure that we were using the right media channels was imperative. And it's complex audiences, it's multiple audiences, and there's no silver bullet for it. It required an integrated campaign that was using some of the standard challenges that or the standard channels that we would use that you'll all know, the job boards. We also did a lot of work programmatically, which is effectively display advertising. We did a lot of retargeting, so people who'd gone onto the Yodel website once but didn't actually go all the way through to application, how we would then go back to them and get the right messages in front of them again. A lot of Google search was driving big numbers, and the really important thing about those two channels is you could get really localized about how you were doing it as well. There was radio to build awareness when we needed big influxes of people. There was also press that could help drive numbers through in those areas that were really struggling to find the right type of people. So all in all, it was a very integrated campaign. It was an integrated campaign across many channels, but it was really crucial that we were getting a very clear and consistent message from them. Nick had talked about the new ATS. Well, we built a new front end to ensure that the Yodel message was clear, that there was a really clear user experience through the website as well, so that it was easy to find out the type of roles that people were interested as well. There was quite a lot of detail as well, and some of the functionality around the mapping was vastly improved. But from the website as well, the channels that we were going to use, the creative work for the online banners that we were using needed to be consistent, it needed to be on brand, it needed to have the right attractive messages, but it also needed to be clear about the type of roles it was, whether they were owner-drivers for large vans or couriers. They were very different propositions, and they were targeted at different people. There was a whole suite of consistency across everything that we did. We were using HTML emails. Yes, there was some of the push messaging, but we needed to be there, we needed to get directly to people who had interest and had the right skill sets. So from HTML emails and also print collateral. It was really important for the service centres as well to have an element of control. They knew their market, they knew where the demands were, and they could react really quickly if they had a suite of collateral, so that they could go out to local events, they could go out to where they thought would be relevant people. So empowering the business as well to be able to act locally in their local market was really important. But I think one of the biggest lessons that we had, and we'd learnt over the years, was where you really make a difference is you get the strategy right, but actually once you've activated it, you have to optimise it. Because what was happening, we were having weekly, daily, almost hourly calls at some stages of peak of understanding where the pressure points for the business were, where did they really need people to be. And we were able to change the strategy that we were using in different locations by upweighting our digital activity so that we were really focusing only where the need was. And that was part of the overall strategy to ensure that we got the right numbers of applicants in the right areas. And one of the ways that we were able to do it, and part of the calls that we talked about, was actually having a live reporting dashboard that could see exactly what every channel was doing, what media channel was performing, what message was working, and that was influencing the decisions that we were making about how we optimised it in such a small time scale to ensure that we were absolutely right. So our job and our part of the strategy was effectively ensuring that we were able to fill Nick and Nick's team's funnel with the right candidates. And then the next part of it was how you dealt with them, and I'll hand back to Nick to talk through that.
So we had all these candidates, and what we wanted to do was to look at how we were going to select the right candidates into the role. So bear in mind, previously we'd had people who hadn't turned up for interviews, or the quality and the capability of the candidates was not great. This time we had the iGrass system, which basically filtered out the majority of candidates before they actually got through to us, which was even better. So no longer did you have the people who didn't have a driving license coming through to us. You won't believe it, but 2 years ago we had people applying for driver roles that couldn't drive. So we completely eliminated all of that. These are the new suites of interview pro formas we used to recruit the colleagues in, using the behaviours. So there's a nice theme that came all the way through, and obviously that theme then went through to onboarding also. So we launched a new induction because we realised from the feedback from our exit interviews that attrition was a big issue because people were leaving because they weren't being onboarded correctly. So by investing in a little bit of onboarding, first couple of days, taking them through the basic processes, so what we do, health, safe, legal aspects, and then how to be, how to do their role. We hadn't really done it properly, but we did. And this paid dividends because what we managed to do for the first time was to retain the majority of colleagues for the short period of time that we actually needed them over peak. So the results. 54,338 applications, 4,300 hires, and an 8% application to hire ratio. And we had some fun along the way. Well, I'll let you take the glory for this, but I was brave. We had quite a sensible advert, didn't we? It was, but this is the new one.
Here's to you, delivery driver person, the real-life, everyday hero, for whom no parcel is too small, no guard dog too scary, no remote home too far. You doff your cap to neighbors, you drive with care and precision, and you always deliver the...
Darren! Your edge trimmers are here!
You too can be an everyday hero. Become an owner-driver, courier, or employed driver with Yodel. Text DELIVER to 84433 now.
So we took a real chance with this advert. And if you knew my exec board the way I do, you'd think, oh God, they wouldn't do that. They're too serious for that. And it was great that obviously SMRS said, come on, Toby said to me, come on, we can do this. Let's try something different. And we did. And one of the biggest sources where we got the majority of people from was from the radio adverts. So it really worked for us. So, key learnings then. So if you're ever to do a peak campaign, these are some of the key learnings that I've basically experienced with Toby, just doing this for Yodel. Make sure you embed the processes, system changes well ahead of the campaign. So it's important that you get everybody in the room, all together, singing from the same hymn sheet on your processes, and everybody in every single site knows what they're doing. Plan earlier, bring in recruiters earlier, and develop advertising strategy earlier. The reason you do that is because you can see the changing market going forward and how you can flex up and down and adapt. Commit the advertising further in advance to secure the best possible inventory and allow for careful management of application influxes. That's a really interesting one on radio because once you do a radio advert, you do get quite a lot of applicants, and you don't want to do it too late because everybody else will be working for DPD or Amazon or whoever. So you need to get the timing absolutely spot on. Streamline the application process without opening the floodgates, and again, having the right screening questions so candidates can't get through that can't drive was absolutely a key winner for us. Improve the screening process to reduce the no-shows and improve calibre. And, the recruitment team did a great job of ringing all the applicants before they came for an interview, and that made a huge difference. Increase the pipeline at known hotspot locations. So this year, Warrington will be a big issue for us again, but what we will do is we will work on Warrington, and we will have a specific campaign for Warrington, like we did last year. And then address the issues around retention. So we've started on the onboarding journey. We did it last year. It's now BAU within the entire business, but we'll look at what we can do differently and what we can do better for next year. Thank you.